The snow fell thick over Montana's plains, blanketing the world in a hush that felt both sacred and suffocating. It was Thanksgiving 2025, and Oswin's cabin, nestled in a quiet corner near his Grandkids town, glowed faintly against the dusk. Inside, the air carried the bitter tang of coffee left too long on the burner, mingling with the wood smoke curling from a dying fire. At 65, Oswin was a man of sturdy hands and stubborn heart, his life carved from decades of carpentry and a marriage to Vesper that had once seemed unbreakable. 6 months had passed since her death, a quiet slipping away that left him adrift, chasing family ties by moving closer to his son, Torin, and the grandkids. Yet tonight, as the town fair's distant laughter drifted through the frosted windows, Oswin felt like a stranger in his own story, a man unmoored by grief and something darker he couldn't name. In the corner of the cabin, Vesper's locked trunk loomed, untouched since her passing. It was a relic of their life together, its battered wood holding memories Oswin both craved and feared. His calloused fingers, scarred from years shaping oak and pine, traced the lock, the cold metal biting his skin. His wedding ring, never removed even in widowhood, glinted under the lamplight, a stubborn anchor to a love now questioned. Why had she locked it? What secrets had she kept from him, the man who'd built a life on her promises? The question gnawed, a premonition tightening his chest. With a deep breath, he wedged a crowbar under the lid, the wood groaning as the lock snapped. Dust swirled, catching the fire's glow, as the lid creaked open. Inside lay faded photos, a scarf still faintly scented with her lavender, and a yellowed letter, folded tight, bearing Vesper's elegant script. Oswin's heart thudded, a rhythm that echoed 40 years back, when Vesper's smile was his world. He hesitated, fingers hovering over the letter addressed to Elton. The name struck like a splinter, Elton, their old friend, a shadow in their shared history. His breath hitched, a premonition clawing at him. Unfolding the paper, his eyes scanned the words, each one a blade. Elton, I can't meet anymore. Oswin's my world. The room spun, his breath catching in a choke. Shock was a thief, stealing his air, rewriting decades in a single line. His chest tightened, heart racing as memories of Vesper's laughter, her touch, shattered under the weight of betrayal. He collapsed into a chair, the letter trembling in his hands, face drained of color. The ring, once a vow, now felt like a lie, heavy and cold against his skin. Outside, the town fair's lights twinkled, a cruel mockery of his solitude. Kids laughed, pie stalls steamed, families wove together in a warmth Oswin could no longer touch. Loneliness, a silent epidemic gripping seniors like him, pressed harder now, the fair's joy a mirror to his fractured past. He glimpsed them through the window, their laughter jarring against the letter's sting. Montana's Thanksgiving fair, with its pie stalls and folk music, pulsed with 2025's community pride, yet Oswin stood apart, an outsider in a world he'd hoped to reclaim. His knuckles whitened, clutching the letter, its words a wound he couldn't close. Why had Vesper betrayed him? The question burned, a fire no snow could quench. Truth was a jagged gift, searing yet freeing. It demanded Can Kwong, a resilience Oswin wasn't sure he had, forcing him to face a past he thought he knew. The letter offered no solutions, only a raw wound, leaving him frozen in shock. His mind reeled, unable to act, trapped in the moment's weight. Trust, already fraying in aging marriages, now seemed a fragile thread, the letter a wedge between Oswin and the family he'd moved to hold close. He wondered what Torin knew, if his son's smiles had secrets too. The letter was a ghost, whispering doubts he couldn't voice, its cryptic words Vesper's only echo, absent yet looming. Oswin's eyes fixed on the ring, its gold dulled by time. Why did you betray me, Vesper? He whispered, the letter crumpling in his fist. The question hung, unanswered, as the fair's music swelled, guitars and distant cheers, then faded to silence. Secrets tested love's endurance, but family's bonds, though strained, persisted like roots beneath frozen ground. For Oswin, this was a reckoning, a path through ashes to rebuild, but first, he had to face the truth's brutal light. What else had Vesper hidden? The answer lay ahead, a shadow waiting to break free. The snow swirled outside Torin's home, a relentless dance that cloaked Montana in a chill as sharp as Oswin's unease. It was Thanksgiving 2025, mere hours after the letter's sting had shattered his world, and the glow of holiday lights in his son's dining room felt like a cruel jest. The air was thick with the scent of roasted turkey and cranberry sauce, the table groaning under a feast meant to bind family. Oswin, at 65, sat among his grandkids' giggles and the clink of glasses, his flannel shirt crisp but his heart heavy. His hand, still bearing the wedding ring he couldn't remove, rested in his pocket, fingers brushing the crumpled letter from Vesper's trunk. Its words, "Elton, I can't meet anymore," burned behind his eyes, a secret he couldn't voice. Torin, 40, carved the turkey with a tight smile, his wife, Emma, passing rolls with a gentle glance. Yet beneath the warmth, a tension hummed, like a string stretched near breaking. Oswin forced a smile, his weathered face masking the storm within. The grandkids, 8 and 10, chattered about the town fair, their voices a bittersweet echo of Vesper's laughter. His mind drifted, unbidden, to a Thanksgiving 5 years past, 2020, in a Montana diner alive with pie's aroma and local chatter. Vesper had sat across from him, her face radiant but her eyes shadowed. She'd tucked a hospital bill into her purse, her hands trembling, a nervous glance betraying her. "Oswin, you make every day brighter," she'd said, her voice soft but strained. He'd grinned, unaware, calling her his rock. Now, the memory twisted, her words hollow against the letter's truth. Had her love been a lie? The question gnawed, his heart aching as he watched Torin, searching for signs of secrets in his son's familiar features. The Montana dawn broke cold and gray, snow piling against the diner's windows as Oswin sat alone at a worn counter, the letter and hospital bill heavy in his coat pocket. It was the day after Thanksgiving 2025, and the air inside carried the rich scent of coffee and bacon, a fleeting comfort against the storm brewing in his heart. At 65, Oswin's grizzled face bore the weight of betrayal, his wedding ring a cold reminder of Vesper's secret unveiled 2 nights ago. The diner hummed with morning chatter, locals swapping tales of the fair, their voices a stark contrast to his silence. His calloused hands, shaped by decades of carpentry, cradled a steaming mug, but his eyes were distant, fixed on the letter's words, "Elton, I can't meet anymore." The hospital bill, dated 1985, found yesterday, added a new layer of suspicion, its staggering figures hinting at a desperate choice Vesper had hidden. Oswin's chest tightened, the fair's fleeting warmth replaced by a gnawing dread that followed him here. Callista, a therapist in her 60s with a warm smile that belied her own scars, slid into the stool beside him. Her presence was a lifeline, her eyes kind but piercing, as if she saw the turmoil Oswin couldn't voice. He'd met her months ago, a friend who'd navigated her own divorce, and now he needed her clarity. With a trembling hand, he pulled the letter from his pocket, its edges worn from his restless grip. "Found this in Vesper's trunk," he said, voice low, the words tasting bitter. Callista's brow furrowed as she read, her silence a steady anchor. "I know betrayals sting, Oswin," she said, her voice soft but firm. "Her past isn't your burden. You've got to choose your strength, not her shadow." Her words were a call to self-focus, a practical step in a world where trust in aging marriages frayed. Oswin nodded, but suspicion clung like frost, his mind replaying Torin's hesitance at the fair yesterday. "Just a friend, Dad." Was his son hiding something too? Oswin's thoughts churned, the bill's numbers, child's treatment, 1985, searing his mind. Had Vesper turned to Elton for money to save Torin? The question was a blade, cutting deeper with each sip of coffee. He pressed Torin's number on his phone, the call brief but tense. "Torin, anything about Mom and Elton I should know?" he asked, voice edged with doubt. Torin's pause was a shadow, his reply vague, "Nothing, Dad. Just old stuff." The deflection stung, a crack in their bond that mirrored 2025's family rifts. Oswin hung up, jaw tight, the diner's warmth fading. Montana's small-town gossip, alive in the diner's buzz, pulsed with 2025's community pride, but Oswin felt its exclusion, an outsider in his own story. The letter and bill were silent accusers, offering no solutions, only deeper doubts that trapped him in a fog of suspicion. As Callista spoke of her own path, rebuilding after betrayal, finding self-worth, Oswin's mind wandered to Vesper's absence, her lavender scent still faint on the scarf in the trunk. Courage was needed to face truth, a resilience he'd once drawn from their love, now questioned. The diner's chatter grew distant, replaced by a sudden buzz from his phone, an unknown number. "Oswin, we need to talk about Vesper," a voice said, cryptic and sharp, before the line went dead. His heart lurched, suspicion flaring like a spark. Was it Elton? The call was a new weight, a foreshadowing of truths yet to break. Oswin pocketed the phone, eyes meeting Callista's, her nod urging him forward. Who knew Vesper's secret? The question hung, a storm gathering strength. The diner's warmth couldn't reach Oswin, its coffee now cold. Snow pressed against the windows, a curtain between him and the world. Trust demanded bravery, not haste, a truth as old as the plains. Family bonds, though frayed, persisted like roots beneath frozen ground, but Oswin feared they'd snap under this weight. His hand tightened on the letter, the bill beside it, their secrets a vow to seek answers. Who knows your secret, Vesper, he thought, the ring of fading promise, the call's echo a challenge he couldn't ignore. The Montana night was a shroud, snow tapping against the windows of a dimly lit bar on the edge of town, its neon sign flickering like a heartbeat gone erratic. It was 2 days after Thanksgiving 2025, and Oswin, at 65, sat hunched at a scarred table, the letter and hospital bill burning holes in his coat pocket. The air reeked of stale beer and cigarette smoke, a gritty contrast to the diner's warmth where Callista had urged him to choose strength over Vesper's shadow. His wedding ring, still clinging to his finger, caught the neon's glow, a cruel reminder of a marriage now fractured by secrets. The cryptic call from yesterday, "Oswin, we need to talk about Vesper," had led him here, to face Elton, the name scrawled in Vesper's letter, a friend turned phantom. Oswin's heart thudded, suspicion a wildfire stoked by the bill's numbers and Torrin's hesitance at the fair. The bar's country jukebox wailed a lonesome tune, echoing the isolation that gripped seniors like him, a solitude deepened by betrayal's sting. Elton entered, grizzled and stooped, his eyes avoiding Oswin's piercing stare. At 67, he carried the weight of years and secrets, his coat dusted with snow. Oswin's hand tightened on the letter, its edges worn from restless nights. He trusted Elton, shared beers and stories, never suspecting the shadow he cast over his marriage. The bar's dimness cloaked them, but Oswin's voice cut through, raw and low. "Found something of Vesper's," he said, sliding the letter across the table. Elton's face paled, his hands trembling as he read the words Oswin knew by heart. "Elton, I can't meet anymore." Silence hung, thick as the snow outside, until Elton's voice cracked. "She loved you, Oswin, but it happened." The confession was a gut punch, shock giving way to a betrayal so raw it stole Oswin's breath. His chest tightened, heart racing as 40 years crumbled, Vesper's smile tainted by a truth he couldn't unsee. Unease crept like frost across Oswin's soul, a shadow of betrayal that frayed his trust like old rope. The letter was a ghost, its weight pulling him from the family he'd moved to hold close. Torrin's smile faltered, sensing Oswin's distance, and Emma's gentle offer of stuffing, made it like Vesper's recipe, jarred him, a reminder of a life now questioned. His fingers tightened on the letter, hidden in his pocket, its crinkle drowned by the kids' laughter. What else had Vesper hidden? The thought was a blade, cutting deeper with each glance at his family. Trust, already fragile in aging marriages, felt like a thread ready to snap, the letter a wedge between Oswin and the legacy he'd hoped to preserve. The memory of that 2020 diner lingered, Vesper's voice echoing in his mind. She'd been his world, but her secret had been a wound she bore alone. "I saved Torrin with Elton's money," she'd thought, her heart pounding as she hid the hospital bill, but feared Oswin's judgment. "Debt crushed us, hiding it broke my heart, but I couldn't lose him." Her anguish, unknown to Oswin then, now cast a shadow over the present, her absence louder than the fair's distant music. Montana's holiday traditions, diner tales, festive homes, pulsed with 2025's nostalgia, a warm facade masking personal rifts. Torrin's strained smile, a subtle echo of broader family stress, hinted at secrets he might hold, a reflection of the era's fractured bonds. Oswin's gaze drifted to the window, snow falling like a curtain between him and the fair's twinkling lights. The kid's joy clashed with his turmoil, a cruel mirror to his fractured past. He wondered what Torrin knew, if his son's warmth had truths as Vespers had. No solutions emerged, suspicion festered, trapping him in a facade of normalcy he couldn't break. Family endured secrets, a fragile bond tested by hidden truths, yet holding fast through love's quiet strength. Secrets tested love's endurance, but family's bonds, though strained, persisted like roots beneath frozen ground, awaiting truth's light. Oswin's hand tightened on the letter, its weight a silent vow. What else did you hide, Vesper, he thought, eyes locked on his family, the ring of fading promise. The fair's music, folk guitars and cheers, swelled, then faded, leaving only the snow's hush. For Oswin, this was a moment of reckoning, a step toward truth's brutal light, where answers waited to break free. The Montana sky was heavy with snow, each flake a weight on Oswin's shoulders as he stood alone at the edge of the Thanksgiving fair, the letter's sting still raw. It was late afternoon, Thanksgiving 2025, and the town buzzed with life, lights twinkling, pie stalls steaming, kids darting through the crowd with mittened hands clutching candied apples. At 65, Oswin should have felt warmed by the scene, a step closer to the grandkids he'd moved to embrace, but the fair's joy was a blade against his solitude. His flannel coat hung loose, the wedding ring on his finger a cold reminder of Vesper's betrayal. The letter, now tucked deep in his pocket, was a silent accuser, its words, Elton, I can't meet anymore, a wound that bled suspicion into every glance. Torrin's home, just hours ago a fragile facade of family warmth, felt distant now, its glow unreachable across the snowy field. Oswin's boots crunched through the snow, his breath clouding in the crisp air as he wandered the fair's fringes. Families laughed, their voices weaving a tapestry of togetherness that excluded him. His hand brushed the letter, its crinkle a jolt to his heart, and he pulled out a creased photo of Vesper, her smile frozen in time. The ache was relentless, a loneliness that gripped seniors like him, amplified by the fair's vibrant pulse. He'd hoped moving near Torrin would mend the void left by Vesper's death, but the letter had cracked that hope, leaving him adrift. His mind churned, replaying last night's dinner at Torrin's, the strained smiles, the grandkids' giggles that couldn't drown his doubts. Had Torrin known about Elton? The question was a splinter, digging deeper with each step. A stall's lamplight caught his eye, illuminating a stack of papers in his other hand, a hospital bill, dated 1985, slipped from the letter's envelope that morning. Its faded ink listed charges for a child's treatment, the numbers staggering even now. Oswin's heart thudded, suspicion flaring. Was this tied to Vesper's secret? He approached Torrin, who stood near a craft booth, his coat dusted with snow. Torrin, Oswin said, voice low, ever hear Mom mention Elton? Torrin's eyes flickered, hesitating. Just a friend, Dad. Why ask? His tone was guarded, a wall Oswin couldn't breach. Old memories, Oswin muttered, pocketing the bill, but his mind raced. Torrin's hesitance was a shadow, hinting at truths unspoken, a reflection of 2025's family stress. The fair's music, folk guitars strumming, swelled, but Oswin felt only the cold. He wandered further, the bills weighed a new burden. Financial stress, a growing specter for seniors, echoed in its numbers, a clue to Vesper's desperation. Had she turned to Elton for money? The thought was a knife, twisting his trust. Montana's fairs, with their craft stalls and community pride, should have been a balm, but they mocked his isolation, each laugh a reminder of a family now fractured. His grandkids' voices called from a sledding hill, yet he couldn't join them, anchored by the letter's truth. Oswin's gaze fell to the photo, Vesper's eyes bright but distant. Loneliness was a test of Qian Kuang, a resilience he'd once drawn from her love, now questioned. The bill and letter offered no answers, only deeper doubts, leaving him to seek truth alone. No solutions emerged, suspicion was a fog he couldn't pierce, each step heavier than the last. Family bonds, though strained, held like roots beneath frozen ground, but Oswin wondered if they'd snap under this weight. He stood still, snow settling on his shoulders, the fair's lights blurring through unshed tears. What's behind this bill, Vesper, he thought, hand tightening on the photo, the ring of fading vow. The fair's joy was a cruel mirror, its warmth unreachable. Oswin's heart ached, suspicion a shadow that darkened his family's glow. Secrets tested love's endurance, but family persisted, fragile yet rooted. For Oswin, this was a moment of reckoning, a step toward truth's brutal light, where answers waited to break free. Elton's eyes dropped, shame etching his face, but Oswin's anger surged, a tide held back too long. "You, my friend, betrayed me," he growled, voice trembling with rage. Elton's next words were a hammer, "There's more. Torrin, he's not yours." The world tilted, Oswin's breath choking in his throat. Betrayal, the second twist, was a blade that carved through his soul, rewriting his son's face, his grandkids' laughter. Torrin, the boy he'd raised, loved, wasn't his blood. The hospital bill's numbers flashed, 1985, Torrin's childhood illness, Vesper's desperation. Had she turned to Elton to save him? Oswin's hand shook, the letter crumpling, his ring a lie he yanked off and tossed into the snow outside, its glint lost in the dark. Yet, in his fury, a flicker of empathy stirred. "Elton, you lost her too, didn't you?" he whispered, seeing the old man's regret, a shared wound in a world where trust frayed. The bar's jukebox wailed, its twang a Montana staple, but Oswin felt only the cold. Family transcended blood, a truth he clung to, yet the revelation left no solutions, only a wound too deep to heal. His mind reeled, Torrin's hesitance, Callista's advice, the cryptic call, all threads in a tapestry of deceit. Was Elton the caller, or was another shadow waiting? Suspicion had no end, a fog he couldn't pierce. The bar's dimness mirrored his isolation, its patrons' murmurs a reminder of 2025's fractured bonds. Oswin's gaze drifted to the snow, the ring gone, his heart a battlefield of rage and pity. Is my family a lie? The question was a cliffhanger, a vow to seek answers, no matter the cost. Elton's regret, a mirror to senior guilt and broken bonds, offered no solace. Oswin stood, coat heavy with snow, the letter and Bill's silent accusers. Courage was needed to face truth, a resilience tested by a past he thought he knew. Montana's bars, pulsing with 2025's raw edge, were no refuge, their music a lonesome echo of his pain. Love's endurance was tested by betrayal, but family's bonds, though shattered, persisted like roots beneath frozen ground. Oswin's hand clenched, the letter's weight a promise to uncover the truth, his eyes burning with a fire no snow could quench. The Montana night was a vast, unyielding void, stars glittering like cold, mocking eyes above Oswin's cabin. Snow fell softly, blanketing the world in a hush that amplified the roar of his despair. It was 3 days after Thanksgiving 2025, mere hours since Elton's confession in the bar had shattered Oswin's life, Vesper's affair, Torrin's parentage, a truth that rewrote 40 years of love and fatherhood. At 65, Oswin stood on his porch, whiskey burning his throat, the letter and hospital bill tucked away but searing his mind. His flannel shirt hung loose, his wedding ring gone, tossed into the snow in a fit of rage, its absence a raw wound on his finger. The cabin, once a haven of Vesper's lavender scent, felt hollow, her framed photo on the mantel a silent accuser. The town's distant lights, remnants of the fair, offered no warmth, only a cruel reminder of the isolation gripping seniors like him. Oswin's gaze fixed on the stars, their brilliance a taunt against his fractured soul. The whiskey glass trembled in his hand, its amber glow catching the porch light. His heart ached, replaying Elton's words, "Torrin's not yours." The hospital bill, dated 1985, flashed in his mind, staggering costs for a child's treatment, Vesper's desperate choice to save Torrin with Elton's money. Had she loved Elton, or was it only debt's cruel bargain? The question was a blade, cutting deeper with each sip. His mind drifted, unbidden, to a memory 5 years past, 2020, when Vesper's touch had steadied him in their kitchen, her smile tender but shadowed. "You're my everything," she'd whispered, her hand warm against his. Now, that memory twisted, her words a lie that mocked his trust. The stars above seemed to laugh, their light as unreachable as the family he thought was his. Despair was a weight Oswin couldn't shake, distinct from the betrayal that had raged in the bar. It was a quiet, suffocating tide, drowning the resilience he'd once drawn from Vesper's love. His chest tightened, breath shallow, as he clutched her photo, its glass cool under his fingers. Torrens' face, so like his own, or so he'd believed, swam in his vision, the grandkids' laughter at Thanksgiving now a distant echo. Was his fatherhood a lie? The question was a wound, bleeding into every memory. Montana's starry skies, a 2025 solace for many, offered no comfort, their vastness a mirror to his isolation. The cabin's silence was deafening, broken only by the whiskey's clink, a futile shield against the pain. Oswin's thoughts churned, the cryptic call from the diner, "We need to talk about Vesper," a lingering shadow. Was it Elton, or another secret waiting to break? Callista's advice to choose strength felt hollow now, her words drowned by the jukebox's wail in his memory. Senior mental health struggles were a silent epidemic, and Oswin was its prisoner, his move to be near Torren now a cruel irony. The hospital bill, a clue to Vesper's desperation, offered no solutions, only deeper doubts. Had Torren known? His son's hesitance at the fair, his vague replies, were cracks in their bond, a reflection of 2025's fractured families. Oswin's hand shook, the photo's glass glinting, Vesper's eyes distant yet pleading. The snow fell heavier, a curtain between Oswin and the world. Pain carved paths to healing, a truth he couldn't grasp, his heart too raw to seek light. Family bonds, though shattered, persisted like roots beneath frozen ground, but Oswin feared they'd snap under this weight. He set the glass down, whiskey untouched, and clutched the photo tighter. Can I face Torren now, he thought, the stars mocking his loss, the question a vow to endure. The night stretched on, a lonesome Montana lament, its silence a challenge he couldn't yet meet. The Montana winter deepened, snow burying Oswin's cabin under a weight as crushing as the pain that consumed him. It was early December 2025, a week since Elton's confession had shattered his world, Vesper's affair, Torren's parentage, a betrayal that rewrote 40 years of love and fatherhood. At 65, Oswin sat alone in his darkened cabin, the fire's embers barely holding back the cold. The air was stale, heavy with the ghost of Vesper's lavender scent, her framed photo on the mantel a silent judge. His wedding ring was gone, lost in the snow outside the bar, but the letter and hospital bill lay on the table, their truths searing his mind. A journal, its pages smudged with ink, lay open before him, a futile attempt to cage the despair that had settled since the stars mocked him on his porch. Outside, the town slept, its silence a mirror to the loneliness gripping seniors like him, a solitude that felt eternal. The Montana morning shimmered with a fragile light, snow dust swirling in the crisp January 2026 air as Oswin stood in the doorway of a local woodshop, the scent of sawdust stirring memories of his carpentry days. Weeks had passed since Vesper's diary unveiled her sacrifice, her coerced affair with Elton to pay Torren's medical bills, a truth that shifted Oswin's pain toward empathy, yet left him grappling with doubt. At 65, his grizzled hands, scarred from decades shaping wood, hesitated on the shop's handle, his heart a battlefield of loss and cautious hope. The letter, hospital bill, and diary were tucked away, their weight a constant companion, but Callista's urging to journal his pain had sparked a flicker of purpose. The woodshop, alive with the hum of tools and chatter, offered a refuge, a chance to rebuild in a world where seniors sought reinvention. Outside, the plains stretched, a 2025 Montana canvas of renewal, but Oswin's steps were tentative, his trust frayed by betrayal's scars. Inside, the shop buzzed with locals, their hands shaping cedar and pine under warm lights. Oswin's boots scuffed the sawdust-strewn floor as he joined a group, his fingers clumsy on a chisel, unused for years. The shop's leader, a retired carpenter named Hank, nodded encouragement, but Oswin's eyes drifted to a tablet displaying a design app, a 2025 trend, its interface baffling him. "This app's a mess," he muttered, a faint smile breaking through as Hank chuckled, guiding his taps. The struggle was comic, a light moment amid the heaviness, yet it stirred pride as Oswin posted his first carving online. "Locals love my work," the comments read, a small victory. Callista's voice echoed from a call yesterday, "You're crafting a new path, Oswin." "I've walked that road." Her words, born of her divorce's ruins, were a beacon, urging self-focus and community, a practical step in a world of fractured bonds. Hope was a cautious flame, kindled by the shop's warmth and Oswin's halting progress. His heart lifted, the chisel steadying as he carved a small toy, its curves a nod to Torrin's childhood. Yet doubt lingered, the diary's truth, Vesper's sacrifice, Elton's coercion, a weight he couldn't shed. Torrin's visit to the shop, his face etched with unease, deepened the rift. "Mom. I suspected her secret, Dad," Torrin admitted, his voice low, eyes avoiding Oswin's. The confession was a jolt, hinting at truths unspoken, a crack in their bond that mirrored 2025's family struggles. "What else did you know, son?" Oswin thought, his heart aching, the toy's edges blurring through unshed tears. The cryptic call, "We need to talk about Vesper," remained a shadow, its source unknown, a thread tying back to Elton's shame in Vesper's diary. The woodshop's hum was a lifeline, its sawdust a bomb against Oswin's isolation. Montana's craft revival, a 2025 trend, pulsed in the shop's rhythm, a community that countered his loneliness. Small steps rebuilt broken spirits, a truth Oswin grasped, his hands finding purpose in wood. Yet no solutions erased the diary's pain, only offered a path forward through self-focus and community. The toy, nearly complete, was a symbol of hope, a legacy beyond blood, but Torrin's words were a new wound. What else had his son known? The question was a cliffhanger, a vow to seek answers, its weight as sharp as the chisel's edge. Oswin's gaze drifted to the shop's window, snow falling like a promise of renewal. Purpose healed broken spirits, a truth rooted in the wood's grain, but doubt persisted, a shadow he couldn't outrun. He set the toy down, hands steadying, the question burning, what else did Torrin know? The shop's warmth held him, Montana's winter a silent challenge to endure. The Montana dusk painted the sky in hues of bruised purple, stars piercing the chill as Oswin sat on Torrin's porch, the woodshop's sawdust still clinging to his flannel. It was early February 2026, weeks since Vesper's diary unveiled her coerced sacrifice, an affair with Elton to pay Torrin's medical bills, a truth that shifted Oswin's pain toward empathy, yet left him wrestling with doubt. At 65, his scarred hands, shaped by carpentry and newfound purpose in the woodshop, gripped a carved toy, a gift for his grandkids, its curves a testament to cautious hope. The letter, hospital bill, and diary were tucked away, their weight lighter since Callista's urging and the shop's community had kindled a flicker of renewal. Yet Torrin's confession in the woodshop, "I suspected her secret, Dad," had reopened wounds, a crack in their bond that demanded truth. The porch, warmly lit, felt like a confessional, a 2025 Montana haven where family trust, frayed by secrets, could be mended or broken. Oswin's heart thudded, the toys would smooth under his fingers as Torrin joined him, his face etched with unease. At 40, Torrin's eyes mirrored Oswin's, or so he'd once believed, now shadowed by a shared burden. The grandkids' laughter drifted from inside, a bittersweet echo of Thanksgiving's facade, when Oswin's discovery of the letter had begun this unraveling. His mind churned, replaying the diary's tear-stained words, "Elton forced my hand." Vesper's sacrifice to save Torrin, coerced by debt and threats, had softened his anger, but Torrin's hesitance at the fair, his vague replies, hinted at deeper truths. The cryptic call, "We need to talk about Vesper," remained a shadow, its source unknown, a thread tying back to Elton's shame. Oswin's breath steadied, Callista's advice to choose strength echoing, urging dialogue to bridge the rift. "Torrin," he began, voice low, "did you know about Elton and Mom?" The question hung, a blade poised to cut or heal. Torrin's gaze dropped, his hands clenching. "I suspected, Dad," he admitted, voice raw. "She swore it was to protect you, to save me." Clarity washed over Oswin, a tide easing the pain that had gripped him since the bar. Torrin's words were a confession, not of betrayal, but of love, a son shielding his father from Vesper's shame. "I needed the truth, not her silence," Oswin said, his voice steady, heart aching yet lighter. Torrin nodded, tears glinting, and handed Oswin a photo of Vesper, her smile tender but strained, a relic of their 40th anniversary. "She loved you, Dad," Torrin said, his voice breaking. The exchange was a solution, a dialogue mending their bond, a step toward public justice in a world where family trust eroded. Torrin's arrival stirred Oswin's thoughts, his son's face softened by relief. "Dad, you helped me save my marriage," Torrance said, his voice low, eyes bright with gratitude. The confession was a bridge, their bond strengthened by the porch's truth, a shared love for Vesper despite her secrets. Oswin's heart lifted, the toys would grounding him as he nodded, pride swelling. The grandkids' laughter, a multi-generational bond, was a balm, a legacy beyond blood. Yet doubt lingered, the cryptic call, "We need to talk about Vesper," unanswered, a shadow tied to Elton or another truth. Had Torrin known more than he'd shared? The diary's sacrifice, the hospital bills numbers, and Vesper's cancer were threads in a tapestry of loss, but the woodshop offered solutions, self-focus, community, a path to heal without erasing pain. The shop's hum was a lifeline, its sawdust a testament to Montana's 2025 craft revival, a community countering Oswin's past isolation. Purpose mended broken lives, a truth etched in the toy's grain, a gift for his grandkids. The kids' joy was a mirror to 2025's family bonds, yet the call's mystery was a new weight. What was left to uncover? The question was a cliffhanger, a vow to face whatever truth awaited. Oswin's gaze drifted to the window, snow melting into spring's promise, his hands steadying as he carved, the shop's warmth a silent embrace. Oswin set the toy down, its curves a promise of endurance. Purpose was a legacy, a truth rooted in the wood's grain, but questions persisted, shadows he couldn't outrun. He faced the sunrise's glow, the question burning, what's left to uncover? Montana's spring was a quiet challenge, a call to rebuild. The Montana spring bloomed softly, April 2026 sunlight filtering through the windows of a cozy therapy room, its walls lined with books and photos, a haven of warmth against the fading snow outside. Oswin sat in a circle of locals, his grizzled hands resting on a carved wooden plaque, its polished surface a testament to his woodshop's legacy. At 65, his face bore the etchings of betrayal, pain, and growth, softened by months of healing since Vesper's secrets unraveled, her coerced affair with Elton, Torrin's parentage, her hidden cancer. The letter, hospital bill, and diary were distant now, their truths a quiet ache, transformed by Torrin's porch confession, Callista's therapy, and the woodshop's hope. The plaque, a gift for the group, gleamed under the light, a symbol of connection in a 2025 Montana care hub, countering the isolation that once gripped seniors like him. Oswin's heart steadied, the group's faces, worn, kind, familiar, offering a lifeline as they shared stories of loss and resilience. Callista, her eyes warm but piercing, led the session, her own divorce a badge of survival. "My divorce broke me," she said, voice soft yet firm, "but therapy and friends rebuilt my worth." "You're doing the same, Oswin." Her words, a beacon for the group, echoed her journey, a 2025 senior struggle. Oswin nodded, his voice low but clear, "Vesper's secret isn't my chain anymore." The confession was a release, his hands steady as he passed the plaque, earning nods and smiles. Torrin's arrival, his face bright with pride, deepened the moment. "Dad, the fair's honoring your work," he said, his voice warm, their bond a testament to shared truth. The group clapped, a community embrace that lifted Oswin's heart, a solution rooted in therapy and support. Connection was a warm tide, washing over the pain that had once defined Oswin's nights. His mind drifted to the woodshop, where kids' laughter had sparked hope, a legacy beyond Vesper's cancer and Elton's coercion. The diary's tear-stained words, "I hid the shame," and the hospital bills numbers had faded, their truths softened by Callista's guidance and Torrin's honesty. Yet the cryptic call, "We need to talk about Vesper," lingered, a shadow unanswered, a thread tying back to Elton or another secret. Had Torrin known more? The question was a faint echo, overshadowed by the group's warmth, a 2025 care trend. Oswin's plaque was a vivid symbol, its grain etched with resilience, a gift to a community that countered his past loneliness. The group's stories, divorce, loss, rebirth, were a mirror to his own, a shared path to healing. The therapy room's light was a balm, its quiet a contrast to Montana's fading winter, a 2025 renewal. Connection lifted fallen hearts, a truth Oswin held, his heart steadied by the group's embrace. The fair's honor, a nod to his woodshop, was a milestone, yet the call's mystery was a new weight. What was next for him and Torrin? The question was a cliffhanger, a vow to face whatever truth awaited. Oswin's gaze drifted to the window, snow melting into spring's promise, his hands steadying as he held the plaque's memory, the room's warmth a silent anchor. Oswin stood, the plaque's weight a promise of endurance. Connection was a legacy, a truth rooted in the group's shared stories, but questions persisted, shadows he couldn't outrun. He faced the spring's glow, the question burning, what's next for us? Montana's spring was a quiet challenge, a call to embrace the future. The Montana dawn glowed with a quiet promise, April 2026 sunlight spilling into Oswin's woodshop, its beams catching sawdust in a golden haze. Oswin stood at his workbench, his grizzled hands polishing a carved toy, its curves a symbol of a legacy forged through months of healing. At 65, his face bore the etchings of betrayal, pain, and connection, softened by Vesper's secrets unveiled, her coerced affair with Elton to save Torrin, her hidden cancer, her sacrifice etched in a diary's tear-stained pages. The letter, hospital bill, and diary were stored away, their truths a faint ache, transformed by Torrin's confession, Callista's therapy, the woodshop's hope, and the therapy group's embrace. A new discovery loomed in a tool chest, a folded letter in Vesper's script, its weight a premonition as Oswin faced the plains bloom, a 2025 Montana canvas of hope, yet shadowed by lingering doubts. Oswin's chest loosened, the toy's weight grounding him as he accepted the photo, Vesper's eyes pleading across time. Clarity was a fragile gift, born of truth shared under Montana's stars, a 2025 intimacy. The woodshop's hope, Callista's guidance, and now Torrin's honesty were threads weaving a new tapestry, one of resilience beyond blood. Yet doubt lingered, the cryptic call a shadow unanswered, Torrin's partial truth a new question. Had he known more? The hospital bill, diary, and letter were clues, but no solutions erased their pain, only offered a path forward through dialogue. The porch's warmth countered Oswin's isolation, a mirror to 2025's community bonds, yet the rift wasn't fully healed. Oswin's gaze drifted to the stars, their light a promise of renewal. Shared truth mended hearts, a truth rooted in the porch's quiet, but questions persisted, a shadow he couldn't outrun. He held the toy, hands steady, the question burning, can I let her go now? The snow fell, a gentle challenge to endure, Montana's dusk a silent vow to seek answers. The Montana winter softened into a tentative March 2026, snow clinging to the plains as Oswin sat in Callista's cozy office, the air warm with the scent of chamomile tea and old books. At 65, his grizzled face bore the scars of betrayal and hope, his hands clutching a hammer Vesper had gifted him decades ago, its handle worn smooth by love and labor. Weeks had passed since Torrin's porch confession, I suspected her secret, had mended their bond, a fragile clarity born of truth shared under starry skies. The letter, hospital bill, and diary, tucked away, no longer burned, their truths, Vesper's coerced affair with Elton, her sacrifice to save Torrin, softened by Oswin's woodshop efforts and Callista's guidance. Yet a new weight loomed, a question of forgiveness or closure, as Oswin faced the hammer's heft, a symbol of a life he'd built and lost. Outside, the town stirred, a 2025 Montana care hub, but Oswin's heart was a battlefield, torn between Vesper's memory and a future unmoored. Callista's office, cluttered with photos and journals, was a sanctuary, her eyes kind but piercing as she leaned forward. Oswin had shared the diary's truth, its tear-stained pages unveiling Vesper's sacrifice, but today's visit felt different, a premonition tightening his chest. There's more, Oswin, Callista said, her voice soft but heavy. Vesper had cancer, linked to Torrin's childhood illness. She hid it to spare you. The words were a jolt, a third twist that shattered Oswin's fragile hope, his breath catching as the hammer slipped, clattering to the floor. Self-reflection flooded him, a tide of pity and resolve warring within. Cancer? Vesper had carried that alone, her stress tied to Torrin's bills, her affair a desperate act under Elton's coercion. His heart ached, eyes blurring as he gripped the table, torn between forgiving her sacrifice or letting her memory go, a moral dilemma that redefined his pain. The revelation was a hammer's blow, Vesper's suffering a mirror to 2025's senior health burdens. Oswin's mind reeled, the diary's words, I hid the shame, now layered with her silent battle. Had she protected him from this, too? The cryptic call, we need to talk about Vesper, echoed, unanswered, a shadow tied to Elton or another truth. Callista's voice cut through. She chose silence for you. I've seen that strength in my own path. Her words, born of her divorce's ruins, urged self-focus and therapy, a solution to navigate this crossroads. Oswin nodded, his resolve hardening to move on, planning to clear Vesper's belongings, yet his heart wavered, pity softening his anger. Forgive or let go? The question was a chasm, his self-reflection a test of resilience in a world where trust frayed. Oswin's gaze drifted to the hammer, its fall a vivid symbol of his fractured life. Montana's quiet offices, a 2025 care beacon, offered solace, but the revelation left no easy answers, only a path through therapy and self-focus. The woodshop's hope, Torrens' clarity, and now Vesper's cancer were threads in a tapestry of loss and love, but the rift wasn't fully healed. Had Torren known this, too? His son's hesitance, the diary's weight, and the hospital bill's numbers were clues, a burden shared yet unresolved. Forgiveness was a choice, not a debt, a truth Oswin held, his heart a battlefield of pity and resolve. The office's warmth countered his isolation, a mirror to 2025's community bonds, yet the dilemma persisted, a shadow he couldn't outrun. Oswin's hand steadied, lifting the hammer, its weight a promise to endure. Can I forgive her now, he thought, the question burning, a vow to seek peace amid Montana's snow. The plains stretched, a silent challenge, the dawn's light a fragile hope to heal. The Montana spring hinted at renewal, April 2026 sunlight streaming through the woodshop's windows, casting sawdust motes in a golden dance. Oswin stood at a workbench, his grizzled hands shaping a wooden toy, its curves a testament to months of healing. At 65, his face bore the scars of betrayal and growth, the weight of Vesper's secrets, her coerced affair with Elton, Torren's parentage, her hidden cancer, softened by time and purpose. The letter, hospital bill, and diary were stored away, their truths no longer a searing wound but a quiet ache. Callista's therapy, Torren's porch confession, and the woodshop's community had woven a fragile hope, a path forward after the cancer reveal had forced Oswin to wrestle with forgiveness or closure. Outside, the plains bloomed, a 2025 Montana canvas of rebirth, but Oswin's heart was steady, anchored by the shop's hum and the laughter of kids learning to carve beside him. Oswin's hands moved with newfound confidence, the chisel gliding as he mentored a group of local children, their eager voices filling the shop with life. The woodshop, a haven since January, had become his legacy, a counter to the loneliness that once gripped him. Mr. Oswin, this is awesome, a boy chirped, his clumsy carving sparking a rare smile. Oswin's mind drifted to a dawn weeks ago, when he'd watched the sunrise from this shop, whispering, I'm building my future. That moment, a quiet vow, had solidified his growth, a resilience born of pain and purpose. The shop's tablet, once a baffling 2025 tech hurdle, now displayed as online posts, locals praising his carvings, a small triumph that echoed Callista's words, you're crafting a new path. Oswin's hands trembled, the pen scratching halting words, Torrens not mine. The sentence was a wound, bleeding onto the page, each letter a stab of pain. His chest ached, heart heavy with the weight of a fatherhood questioned. The hospital bill, dated 1985, loomed beside the letter, its numbers, costs for Torren's childhood illness, a clue to Vesper's desperation. Had she turned to Elton to save their son, a choice born of debt's cruel grip? The thought was a knife, twisting his love into doubt. His mind drifted, unbidden, to their 40th anniversary, 2015, when Vesper's smile had lit their kitchen, her hand steadying his. We made it, Oswin, she'd said, her eyes bright but strained, a shadow he'd missed then. Now, that memory was a lie, her tenderness tainted by the secret she bore, debt forced my choice, she'd thought, her heart breaking. Elton's money saved Torren, but I lost Oswin's trust. I carried the shame to protect him. Pain was a tide, drowning the resilience, Kian Kwong, Oswin had once drawn from their bond. He clutched the journal, tears smudging the ink, his breath shallow in the cabin's chill. Torren's face, so like his own, or so he'd believed, swam in his vision, the grandkids' laughter at Thanksgiving now a distant wound. Was his family a facade? The question was a chasm, swallowing every certainty. Montana's quiet winters, a 2025 haven for introspection, offered no solace, their silence amplifying his isolation. The cryptic call, "We need to talk about Vesper," lingered, a shadow unanswered, as did Callista's urging to choose strength. But strength felt impossible, his heart too raw to seek light. Callista's voice broke the silence, her call a lifeline through the phone. "Journal your pain, Oswin," she said, her tone warm but firm. "It's a start. You'll find your way, I promise." Her hope was a flicker, a counter to his despair, born of her own journey through divorce's ruins. Oswin nodded, unseen, his voice choked. "She broke me, Callista," he whispered, the journal's pages trembling. Her words were a call to emotional control, a practical step in a world where senior loneliness was a silent epidemic. Yet pain persisted, a test of endurance he wasn't sure he could pass. The hospital bill, a relic of Vesper's sacrifice, offered no solutions, only deeper doubts. Had Torren known? His son's hesitance at the fair, his vague replies, were cracks in their bond, a reflection of 2025's fractured families. Oswin's gaze drifted to the photo, Vesper's eyes pleading across time. Pain forged strength, a truth he couldn't grasp, his heart a battlefield of loss and love. Family bonds, though shattered, persisted like roots beneath frozen ground, but Oswin feared they'd snap under this weight. He set the journal down, tears falling, and faced the night's silence. Was her sacrifice worth it? Vesper, he thought, the question a vow to endure, a step toward truth's brutal light. The snow fell, a curtain between him and the world, Montana's winter a lonesome lament. Dawn broke over Oswin's cabin, a faint glow piercing the Montana snow, casting long shadows across the floor where he sat, journal open but untouched. It was mid-December 2025, days since pain had consumed him, Elton's confession, Torren's parentage, Vesper's affair, still a raw wound. At 65, Oswin's grizzled face bore the toll of sleepless nights, his hands empty of the wedding ring lost in rage. The cabin, once warmed by Vesper's presence, was cold, the fire's embers dead, her lavender scent fading. The letter and hospital bill lay beside the journal, their truths a constant ache, but a new discovery loomed in his lap, a dusty diary, tucked deep in Vesper's trunk, its pages fragile with secrets. Outside, the plains stretched silent, a 2025 Montana winter that mirrored the financial strain gripping senior, a burden Oswin now suspected drove Vesper's choices. Oswin's fingers, callous from carpentry, traced the diary's cover, heart thudding with dread and need. The hospital bill, dated 1985, had hinted at Vesper's desperation to save Torren, but the letter's words, "Elton, I can't meet anymore," had painted her a betrayer. Callista's call to journal his pain, her hopeful urging, felt distant, drowned by the despair that had gripped him under the stars. He opened the diary, Vesper's elegant script spilling across tear-stained pages, and his breath caught at the first line, "Elton forced my hand." The words were a jolt, a second twist unraveling his anger. "Torren's bills broke us," she wrote, "I sold my soul to pay them." Shock softened into empathy, a tide washing over Oswin's heart as he read of her sacrifice, the affair, a desperate bargain to save their son, coerced by Elton's threats to expose their debt. His chest tightened, eyes blurring, Vesper's love, flawed, fierce, reclaiming its place. Empathy was a fragile light, piercing the pain that had defined his days. Oswin's mind reeled, the diary a Chekhov's gun from the trunk's depths, its truth rewriting Vesper's betrayal. He paced the cabin, boots scuffing the floor, the diary clutched like a lifeline. "I had the shame to save them," Vesper wrote, her words a plea across time, "Elton's threats left me no choice." The hospital bill's numbers, staggering costs for Torren's illness, aligned with her confession, a sacrifice born of love, not lust. Oswin's heart ached, torn between pity and lingering doubt. Had she loved Elton, or was it only fear? The cryptic call, "We need to talk about Vesper," echoed, unanswered, a shadow tied to Elton's coercion. Trust, frayed in 2025's aging marriage, felt impossible, yet Vesper's sacrifice was a bridge to understanding. The cabin's silence was a weight, broken only by the snow's soft tap. Oswin sat, diary open, his thoughts churning. Callista's advice, Torrens' hesitance at the fair, Elton's shame, all threads in a tapestry of loss. No solutions emerged, empathy was a revelation, not a path forward, leaving Oswin to grapple with Vesper's choice alone. Financial strain, a 2025 senior burden, had driven her to the edge, a reality mirrored in the diary's tear-stained pages. Montana's dawn, a symbol of 2025 renewal, offered no solace, its light too faint to lift his heart. The diary was a mirror to senior trust struggles, its truth a painful gift. Love's sacrifices could wound as deeply as betrayal, a complex truth Oswin couldn't escape. Oswin's gaze fell to the photo on the mantel, Vesper's eyes pleading. Love's cost could break or bind, a truth he held, his heart a battlefield of empathy and doubt. Family bonds, though strained, persisted like roots beneath frozen ground, but Oswin feared their fragility. He closed the diary, hands steadying, the question burning, was my love enough, Vesper? The snow fell, a curtain between him and the world, Montana's winter a silent challenge to endure. Oswin's heart thudded, the toy set aside as he opened the letter, its words a jolt. Elton threatened to ruin us. I protected you, Oswin. The fourth twist was a thunderbolt, revealing Vesper's final act, shielding him from Elton's blackmail, her affair not just a debt's bargain but a desperate stand against threats to their life. Gratitude flooded him, a tide tempering the doubt that had lingered since the cryptic call. We need to talk about Vesper, now tied to Elton's shadow. His chest tightened, eyes blurring as he clutched the letter, Vesper's love fierce across time. Torrens' arrival deepened the moment, his face bright with resolve. I chose you, Dad, he said, voice steady, admitting he'd learned of Elton's threats years ago, opting to protect Oswin's heart. The confession was a bridge, their bond a testament to love beyond blood, a healing act in a 2025 world of trust struggles. Gratitude was a warm light, piercing the shadows of Oswin's journey. The letter was a Chekhov's gun, its truth a mirror to Vesper's diary, rewriting her sacrifice as a shield. Oswin paced the shop, boots scuffing sawdust, the letter a lifeline. I took the shame to save you, Vesper wrote, her words a plea, her protection a love that endured lies. The woodshop's hum, a 2025 craft revival, was a balm, its kids' laughter a multi-generational bond that countered his past isolation. Callista's therapy, Torrens' clarity, and the group's embrace had paved this path, but no solutions erased the letter's weight, only offered reflection. Had the cryptic call been Elton's last gasp? The question lingered, a shadow tied to Vesper's final act, a truth Oswin held with gratitude and doubt. The shop's dawn was a sanctuary, Montana's hills aglow with 2025 hope. Love's truth outlasted deceit, a truth Oswin grasped, his heart steadied by Torrens' choice. The fair's honor, the therapy group's warmth, and now Vesper's protection were threads in a tapestry of healing, but the call's mystery was a faint echo. Was her love enough? The question was a cliffhanger, a vow to face whatever truth awaited. Oswin's gaze drifted to the plains, snow melting into spring's promise, his hands steadying as he held the letter, the shop's warmth a silent anchor. Oswin folded the letter, its weight a promise of endurance. Love was a legacy, a truth rooted in Vesper's sacrifice, but questions persisted, shadows he couldn't outrun. He faced the dawn's glow, the question burning, was her love enough? Montana's spring was a quiet challenge, a call to embrace the truth. The Montana sunrise bathed the woodshop in a golden glow, April 2026 light streaming through windows, illuminating Oswin's hands as he polished a carved toy, its curves a symbol of a legacy forged through pain and redemption. At 65, his grizzled face bore the etchings of a journey through betrayal, despair, and hope, each scar softened by Vesper's unveiled secrets, her coerced affair with Elton to save Torren, her hidden cancer, her final act of protection against Elton's threats. The letter, hospital bill, and diary were distant now, their truths a quiet hum, transformed by Torren's confession, Callista's therapy, the woodshop's purpose, the therapy group's embrace, and the final letter's revelation. Oswin stood among kids learning to carve, their laughter a melody of renewal, his heart steady with a forgiveness he'd chosen, not for Vesper, but for himself. Outside, the plains bloomed, a 2025 Montana canvas of purpose, a world where family bonds endured. Oswin's hands moved with quiet confidence, the toy a gift for his grandkids, its wood etched with resilience. Months ago, the letter's sting, Elton, I can't meet anymore, had shattered his trust, but Vesper's diary, the hospital bill's numbers, and her last letter had woven a tapestry of sacrifice, a mother's love, a wife's shield, a woman's silent suffering. Torrens' porch confession, Callista's urging to journal, and the therapy group's warmth had guided him here, to a woodshop alive with purpose. Mr. Oswin, you're the best, a girl chirped, her clumsy carving sparking a smile, a balm against the loneliness that once gripped him. He'd forgiven Vesper, not erasing her pain, cancer, coercion, debt, but releasing its hold, a choice rooted in love's endurance, a legacy for his grandkids, Torren, and himself. Hope was a warm tide, tempered by a lingering mystery that stirred as Oswin's phone buzzed, Torren's voice crackling through, Dad, we need to talk, something new about Mom. The call was an open-ended twist, a shadow tied to the cryptic message months ago, we need to talk about Vesper, its source still unknown. Oswin's heart quickened, gratitude for Vesper's love now laced with curiosity. What new secret awaited? The question was a cliffhanger, a vow to face whatever truth emerged, yet it didn't dim the shop's glow. The kids' laughter, a 2025 multi-generational bond, was a testament to family beyond blood, a legacy Oswin had built despite Torren's parentage, Vesper's cancer, and Elton's threats. The woodshop, a 2025 craft revival, was his anchor, its sawdust a promise of endurance. Oswin's gaze drifted to a photo on the workbench, Vesper's smile tender, a relic of their 40th anniversary. Forgiveness opened new beginnings, a truth he held, his heart steadied by the shop's warmth, the therapy group's stories, and Torren's love. The call's mystery was a faint echo, overshadowed by the grandkids' joy, a mirror to 2025's family bonds. No solutions erased the past, the letter, bill, diary, and cryptic call were threads of a complex tapestry, but forgiveness and mentorship offered a path forward, a legacy rooted in purpose. Montana's Sunrise, a 2025 renewal, cast a light of hope, its plains a canvas for a future Oswin embraced, yet the call's shadow lingered, a challenge to endure. Oswin set the toy down, its curves a vow to his grandkids, his hands steady as he faced the sunrise. What new secret awaited? The question burned, a promise to seek truth, tempered by hope. Montana's spring was a quiet beacon, a call to live fully, his legacy a light for those he loved. Oswin held the carved toy, his grandkids' laughter echoing as Montana's sunrise bathed the woodshop in hope. Forgiveness freed him, not for Vesper, but for his own heart, crafting a legacy of love beyond blood. Can Kwong rebuilt trust, a D-sand for Torren's future. In 2025's era of renewal, every heart finds purpose after pain. A call from Torren hinted at new secrets, a twist sparking wonder. Share your journey below. #Nagwaitin Drama